If you're defending the sanctions on Cuba right now, look at what you're defending. Because like, make no mistake, you can talk all day about how it's the artist, it's Hassan, the streamer, it's the woke-tard activist. Saying it don't make it true. They aren't causing the blackouts. They aren't causing the starvation. The government of America is causing this shit. We are the ones doing the sanctions, which are killing people. That's it.
He mentioned he live streamed 2 days back. He live streamed multiple times. He just
and to defend that makes you a drone. Okay, basically you're like one step above an insect. You're a human insect.
The internet.
We're watching Rev Says Dace.
Professor here. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the current situation involving Hassan Piker and the massive backlash he is facing.
Massive backlash.
He is back home and
disastrous.
addressing the criticisms he's facing due to that trip that many describe as nothing but performative and a paid vacation to spread propaganda in favor of the regime there in Cuba. He is currently crashing out on both Twitter and Twitch, trying to address...
When you're poor like me, you just have other concerns in life. I feel that, man. Really, I do. Anyway. My point was, it wasn't that like, oh, you need to do better or something like that. If I were to be mad about every little thing, I'd be in a white room. Oh, yeah. Wouldn't we all, man? I mean, shit, that's where I'm heading anyway. But anyway. My point is like, you know, I may, like, correct you on things. I hope you don't take it personally. I try to do it when I disagree with you about something. I try to do it as politely as possible. For you. Okay, not other people, but for you. Yeah, but, like, I do care what people say and like, their opinions on things. I care immensely about it, unironically. No man, and I sometimes like to troll. Yeah, I can't tell. I'm terrible at reading that. Anyway.
Criticisms like his literal peppering of
That's
cash
what makes me such a good streamer.
to solve their financial woes, as well as criticisms of him basically chilling and having a vacation and not even accomplishing anything during his time at this humanitarian efforts. Now, for those who don't know, he spent his time at 5-star hotels, enjoying many luxuries while the Cuban population was experiencing massive blackouts. Hospitals were no longer able to use their equipment. Many passed away as a result, but don't worry, these hotels...
Yeah, that's not his fault. That's not his fault. That's the fucking sanctions, bro. Anyway.
And other venues enjoyed by people like Hassan Piker had full electricity and full power during his time there. Hassan tried to paint himself as some revolutionary, literally depicting himself as a one-piece character.
That's Hassan's fault. That's it. That's his fault.
His streams, thinking he's doing some sort of a good. But this is what it actually looks like. A man in the lap of luxury enjoying a paid vacation from a safe distance as he literally throws wads of cash at the struggling Cubans who are under a system of socialism that Hassan tries to promote.
How dare he?
Again, from a very safe distance. Now, one of those things that he's being criticized for that I've mentioned multiple times now is the fact that he literally peppered Cubans with wads of cash. In his return stream, he has explained a little bit more about his mentality behind that set of actions.
I didn't. I went to just a couple different like bars. The first night I went to a bar with the Kneecap Boys was awesome. I had a great time there. We just dumped a lot of cash to the best of our ability on everyday Cubans. But it was it was much better in my opinion to just like go to like regular bars and regular restaurants that were.
That's terrible. That's terrible. How dare he?
In spite of the circumstances, because it was there were just like regular Cubans there.
Again, I can think of nothing more poetic than Hassan Piker, the champagne socialist, peppering victims of socialism, the people who are suffering from the failures of socialism with the product.
Yeah, that's right. They're suffering from the failures of socialism, and definitely not economic sanctions imposed on them by our country.
Capitalism.
Definitely,
the money
bro.
he has earned through capitalism, he is literally peppering them with physically to try to solve their woes under a system he is trying to promote that is taking place in Cuba. I mean, it's absolutely pathetic. But yeah, he has shown off the wads of cash. He even said that the TSA agent who was inspecting it was a fan of his. And yeah, it just goes to show you how performative and ridiculous this man is. He is a walking meme who thinks he can solve Cuba's problems by giving them American cash. I think I've heard this one before. But he also mentioned hanging out with the group Kneecap, which was a big feature. They were one of the many performers. In fact, some people were thinking they were responsible for some of the blackouts, or at the very least, they were receiving power, while 99% of the Cuban population...
They are not the reason for the blackouts. That is insane. Source?
Was without. And of course,
Anything?
as people dig into these individuals behind Kneecap, they are just an absolute goofy set of individuals who...
Sorry, look, I'm still kind of getting used to this guy. You know, when I start reacting to a new person, I kind of gotta, you know, I gotta get comfortable with their fucking content style, with their videos or whatever. And so all that is to say, like, sometimes I might pause and talk about and like, you know, fixate on shit that he says that doesn't really matter that much. And sometimes I might miss important stuff. But as I watch these guys, as I get more used to the things that they say, I get better at like actually picking out the interesting bullshit that they spew, and making fun of them for it. Anyway,
you know, I guess get a lot of attention for saying things like F Trump and F the United States and all that sort of stuff, all the buzzwords and phrases, but they're getting noted on social media for their claims here that don't even actually make any sort of historical sense. Also, it's very punk rock and cool of them, as pointed out here, to have shows that are being attended by the head of propaganda for the Cuban regime. Yes, that is definitely the act of some big-time revolutionaries. But Hassan, I guess, has made peace with all of that, and also has addressed the complaints that he was just hanging around at all these festivals. Well, Hassan makes it very clear that he was down doing the grunt work. He was with the locals, doing interviews, saving lives, doing all the things.
Basically, I spent every moment just conducting interviews, like talking to regular Cubans, talking to people that are you know, doing incredible work, and investigating like how this complex system of restrictions has actually harmed Cuban production every step of the way. And then I come back and I see people on the sidelines trying to do their very best to continue justifying the asphyxiation that we have implemented on this island. The people died because you morons threw a giant party and sucked up all the electricity. These are fucking Cubans, man. These are everyday Cubans having a great time on a free concert.
True.
That was thrown together. And it wasn't just Kneecap. It was like, you know, Cuban artists that were also participating in it.
Yeah, we all know that Hassan was doing all the grunt work. He was down there on the ground, interviewing all these people, saving
That's
lives.
not what he said. Anyway, everybody knows that during times of economic strife, okay, no music, no concerts, not allowed. People are suffering. No fun allowed. No concerts.
While simultaneously complaining
No,
about
no,
how he's
no.
so restricted by the lack of a stable internet connection. But as you can see, he continued this attitude on social media. The second he got a stable internet connection, he started tweeting. Like, his thumbs are probably burning from the amount of tweets he's been sending. And here's one that kind of represents what
I
he
mean,
said.
well, that's just kind of a given with Hassan. The guy fucking tweets all day, every day, on stream, off stream.
He's trying to lie once again, saying, didn't have much internet for the last 2 days, and I couldn't check the insane narrative spin on this website. What a nightmare. How do people live like this? They just sit around and justify the U.S. government's torment against smaller countries to feel powerful. The weakest-minded insects. Man, he really likes comparing people to animals and insects if they dare to criticize him. Now, he's saying that he basically didn't have much internet. We know you had plenty of internet. In fact, if you go 2 days back...
I think he's being hyperbolic, but it's an apt comparison. You know, insects, they don't really give much thought to anything. They're kind of, they're nature's robots, you know? So when you call someone an insect, you're kind of calling them an NPC, you know, a predictable charlatan, a shill. And it's true. You know, if you're defending the sanctions on Cuba right now, look at what you're defending. Because like, make no mistake, you can talk all day about how it's the artist, it's Hassan, the streamer, it's the woke-tard activist. Saying it don't make it true. They aren't causing the blackouts. They aren't causing the starvation. The government of America is causing this shit. We are the ones doing the sanctions, which are killing people. That's it.
As mentioned, he live streamed 2 days back. He live streamed multiple times. He just had a
and to defend that makes you a drone. Okay, basically, you're like one step above an insect. You're a human insect.
Internet connection because, well, that's the best the regime over there could provide. But that didn't stop him once he did get an internet connection, once he returned to the States, because he has been tweeting. This guy has been staying tweeting, saying that people criticizing him are CIA accounts. He is trying to convince you that these are CIA agents making tweets criticizing him. On top of that, you can see this wall of text accusing his critics of spreading Zionist propaganda, making tweets criticizing him.
Hold on. Let's check it. I mean... That is kind of that's kind
Are
of Fed
CIA
coded.
accounts.
Let's
He is
be
trying
real.
to convince you that these are CIA agents making tweets criticizing him.
Admire
On top
the
of it, he has this
misery
wall
from
of
a
text accusing
luxury
his critics of
hotel.
spreading Zionist propaganda, and also sharing that he's interviewed Cuban doctors and he has all of this critical information, and also just going off on people, telling them that they're liars about him. He also confronted people saying that
I'll be right
Hassan,
back.
by staying at his 5-star hotel that many have claimed is funded by the Cuban government, which would be violating the current sanctions against Cuba by the United States government. Hassan says that law is stupid, but anyone saying that he's breaking the law is lying. Well, he's under so many layers of lying at this point, you can't take this guy seriously. He also responded to people claiming he was attending kneecap
What else
concerts
has he
and stuff like
lied
that,
about?
saying you are a effing insanely indecent person. And
By
you
the
should
way,
really-
I'm not saying that he's lying about the fucking hotel thing. I don't think he is, actually, because they're saying it's a hotel funded by the government, and he's not. Okay, who do I trust more? Yeah, I wonder. But anyway, even if he were lying about that, where are the other lies? Where are the other layers of lying, which you're peeling back right now? I'd like to know.
think hard about why you're repeating obvious moronic lies that MAGA is spamming on the timeline. Vicious scumbag. What is this guy gonna do? He's gonna shock more dogs or something? So he's crashing out. He's been proven to be a liar. You can watch my video from yesterday. He's been lying about so many things. I guess he got a little too, he was having too much fun over in Cuba. He kind of
Oh, wait,
lost
I
the
thought that
plot.
was a
He wasn't
Kristi
paying attention to what
Noem
was saying.
joke. I
He's
thought
been
he
calling
said
many lies. The
shot
hotel thing being
the
one of the
dog.
major ones. But he is angry that he's being associated with
Said
this
shock.
absolute propaganda tour that he is celebrating as some sort of a revolutionary moment in his career, but in reality it's nothing but a performative effort, and not even his orbiters can find ways to defend him. In fact, I just want to point out this one orbiter, Taylor Lorenz, this journalist who is obsessed with Hassan. She has shared possibly Tweet of the Year for 2026. I know it's early, but this is a great one. She said this yesterday: if you're traveling to Cuba or any impoverished community, or just generally, you should be wearing a mask. We're 6 years into an ongoing pandemic, and airborne disease is real no matter how many leftists want to scream and stomp their feet and shout RFK talking points. It's really so easy to not infect and end people around you. No one is saying you have to be perfect, but if you respond to disabled people asking you to not...
Yeah, I mean, I think she could have said that better, but you know, given the circumstances in Cuba, or really if you're traveling in general, it's important. But yeah, Cuba, there are a lot of people in Cuba where if they get sick, they die, you know, because the hospitals don't have power. So it's especially important in this case to, you know, do safe practice.
maim them or other vulnerable folks by having a meltdown instead of showing basic solidarity. You are not a
It is
serious
kind of
person.
woke scoldy though.
This person is crashing out over people not wearing masks in the year 2026. These are the kind of people in Hassan's
Got
orbit.
him.
This was the takeaway from the Cuba trip disaster. This was the takeaway. Wear a mask. I don't even know what to say at this point, ladies and gentlemen. It's just an absolute pathetic effort on everyone involved in this situation. But that's gonna do it for today's video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I'll see you next
I
time.
think you're a dumbass. Those are my thoughts.